Let's raise the big questions in the public interest. State Bank of India's delay is deliberate or is it genuine? What happens next in this electoral bond battle? Is there an attempt being made to keep these bonds opaque till the general elections are declared? Joining me now is Subhash Chandra Garg, former finance secretary and someone who really charted the path of this electoral bonds when he was in the finance ministry. Mohandas Pai is chairman, Areen Capital and Manipal Global Foundation, Education, and Vishwajit Bhattacharya is former additional Solicitor General of India and a senior lawyer. I want to come to you, Subhash Chandra Garg, first, because the State Bank of India, when it filed its application seeking more time, said, look, it's a complicated process. 22,217 electoral bonds were used for making donations to various political parties in the last 5 years. We need to match the digital data that we have, which is stored, with the data that is stored physically. This will require cross-checking. It's a complicated process. Do you buy that argument?
No. See, the Supreme Court has asked SBI to provide only two simple set of information. One information is that for each donor, what was the denomination of the electoral bond you bought and on what date it was bought by them. That is the information on the buyer side. For the political parties, the information is that which date you received which bonds and the amount thereof. That's all, and which is deposited by the political party in the SBI. These two information sets are always available because they are part of the accounts, they're part of the system. For this, no database is required. Nothing is required to be seen from the original electoral bonds. What SBI seems to be saying is that we will do the matching of information.
Yes.
From the matching the buyers with the political parties. That is what Supreme Court has not asked them to do it. That is not required to be given at this moment. So the information which is asked is to be given, can be given in a day's time.
No, but Mr. Garg, you're saying information can be given in days' time of who bought the bonds. Am I correct? The name of the purchaser. That yes, can be given in a day's time. But what about matching the name of the purchaser with which political party got the benefit of the bond? Are you telling me that's not on the table? You just have to give the name of the buyers, which can be done in a day?
Yes. The Supreme Court order is very clear. SBI is to provide a buyer side list of date-wise and denomination-wise the bond bought by any particular parties. So all the parties who have bought, all the companies who have bought, the details is to be provided date-wise and the denomination of the bond wise. That's all. Okay. Likewise, the political parties which have received it, by which date they have received and deposited into the bank account and what denomination. This information is available, is part of the bank accounts of these two parties, which is available all the time. That is not required to be collated. The collation or matching of the buyer and the political party is not part of the order of the Supreme Court, and therefore the information can be given in a day's time.
You're saying information can be given in a day's time. That's important. Subhash Chandra Garg, who was one of the drivers, as I said, of this electoral bond scheme, saying information can be given in a day. Therefore, Mohandas Pai, the suspicion is, and this is what the opposition parties are saying, State Bank is deliberately delaying, is obfuscating the issue because they don't want the names of these buyers to be revealed while elections are on, because it could prove embarrassing for the ruling party, both at the center and in the states.
Radip, we will stop these conspiracy theories going round. State Bank is a national institution, a 200-year-old bank, the largest bank in India with 25% of India's banking deposits and lending. They're not going to do anything against the law. If they have a genuine difficulty, they'll explain it to the court. And the court can look at it. If the court is not satisfied, the court can appoint a technical group to go talk to them for 4 or 5 days and find out what is the difficulty and pass necessary orders. Why attribute motives?
No, I'll tell you
Why
why.
go?
No, I'll tell you why,
Why
Mr. Pai.
attribute
Mr. Pai,
motives to
just a
State
minute.
Bank?
Mr. Pai,
Yeah,
the
why
order was
attribute
passed
motives?
in. No, just a minute, sir. The order was passed in middle of February, asking them to provide the details. For 2-3 weeks, State Bank said nothing. Just a minute, sir. Just before the deadline ended on March 6th, suddenly State Bank says 2 days before, we can't provide the information. They could have said this ab initio.
Radeep, that is your statement. When it comes before the Supreme Court, I'm sure the Supreme Court will ask the same question and they will answer. So my view is don't attribute motives. Please remember, this is a bearer bond. A bearer bond has no name. I can make a bearer bond, debit my account, like Subhash Garg says, my debit in the account will be known if they maintain a proper database. I can give it to you. You can give it to somebody else. They can give it to somebody else. They can give it to somebody else. You can go to any party. So, there are complications. So let us not simplify that. Let the court decide. The court will decide in its wisdom because they will understand the challenges. And to attribute motives to SBI and to say the SBI is protecting government, I think that's too far-fetched. I think we should stop passing judgment on the SBI. Let the court decide.
Okay,
there must be a genuine difficulty.
Okay, you're saying don't pass a judgment on State Bank of India. It's a recognized institution which generations
yes, 200 into the reputation. I'm sure Subhash Garg will also agree with that. They are not the ones to do any hanky-panky. They work on trust. And do you think the Supreme Court is just going to accept whatever anybody files? They're going to question them. They're going to ask them questions much more than you. They'll appoint a technical committee if they don't understand. The technical committee will have experts. They will go see the database. They'll go see the systems, understand, report back in a week's time.
Okay.
And that is it. That's going to happen anyway. Everybody knows that. So why attribute motives? Why do all this?
Can I just stop you for a moment? You've said that more than three times. Why attribute motives? Vishwajit Bhattacharya, Additional Solicitor General, you're among those who's questioned the SBI order. Are you, here is Mohandas Pai saying, why attribute motives? The Supreme Court is there. Let the Supreme Court decide.
Rajdeep, the para 219 of the Supreme Court's order, small b and small c, are crystal clear. Supreme Court has passed a very clear order with effect from 12th of April 2019. Till date, please provide the information of electoral bond purchasers. Now, when a bond is purchased, the purchaser's KYC is done. It deposits money with the bank by means of a check or by transfer of account. So this is as simple as that. That is paragraph B. And then Supreme Court also says in paragraph C, please give the receipts of political parties. Now, so it is transfer from one account to another account. Mr. Subhash Chandra Garg is absolutely correct that Supreme Court order does not ask for connecting the purchasers with the political parties. All that the Supreme Court orders have asked is, please give the names of the purchasers.
So you don't agree with SBI when it says insufficient time needed. It's an exhaustive exercise of decoding, compiling, and cross-referencing.
No. That is Rajdeep. Okay, permit me to say, I have read the State Bank's application file before the Supreme Court. It has no nexus, absolutely no nexus to what Supreme Court is asking. A simple issue has been made like this. I don't know why State Bank of India is doing this. State Bank of India is the largest national instrument of the country, the most respected bank. In fact, I am a fan and admirer of State Bank of India. Why State Bank of India is getting into all this when the Supreme Court has not asked for it?
Okay, so you're saying the State Bank of India, I take your point. You're saying State Bank of India is looking into issues which the Supreme Court has not asked it to look into.
But has not asked for it.
But
it can be given in a few minutes. It can be given.
You're saying it can be given in a few minutes. Here is
yes.
Subhash Chandra Garg wants to intervene. Yes, sir. You're smiling, Mr. Garg. Go ahead.
Rajdeep, the same information was asked by the Supreme Court to be given in sealed cover a couple of years back. And the SBI had provided that.
The same information was asked to be given in a sealed cover, and the State Bank had provided that, you're saying, at that time.
Up to the year 2019, that was the time. So
Yes.
this information is not at all difficult to be collected.
No, sir, no, but here you've got Mohandas Pai saying, why are you questioning the motive? Just a minute, sir. Why are you questioning the motives of State Bank? He's saying State Bank, are you saying that State Bank could be under political pressure? You've been in government. Are you saying, Subhash Chandra Garg, that State Bank could be working under pressure to provide this information to the Election Commission?
You see, I don't want to get into this rut of attributing motives or not attributing motives. But the circumstances of the case and the kind of application which they have filed suggest very clearly that they want to avoid the furnishing of this information until the elections are over.
Radeep,
Yeah, you know, just a minute, Mohandas Pai, I want to ask you, you see, why is the motives being attributed? Because all of this is happening on the eve of general elections. There is a sense the opposition has been raising electoral bonds, saying government has got a disproportionate amount of them. They've even raised issues of cronyism, quid pro quo. Now, given those charges, shouldn't State Bank have been double quick in ensuring information is provided? If you have nothing to hide, why should State Bank, or what is State Bank hiding?
Radeep, State Bank is not hiding anything. I'm sure they've got the best legal brains to look at the Supreme Court order and interpret them like the ASG is doing here, like Subhash is doing here. I'm sure they also have the best minds in the country talking to them. They have filed petition with some sense of responsibility. The Supreme Court is going to ask the same question as Subhash Garg and the ASG asked. Why can't you do this? Let the Supreme Court do it. Do you think any institution will go before the Supreme Court, file such an application, and wait for the Supreme Court just to gloss it over? Nobody will take the chance. Please, let's not attribute motive. There must be some difficulty. I don't know the technical details there because I am not at the plate. All I can say
no, Mr. Garg and Vishwajit Bhattacharya, Mr. Pai are making it clear there is no technical difficulty. It is a straight providing of purchasers.
Experts of the database. They're not the technical experts of the database and technology. SBI has done to maintain confidentiality. The fact that they said that two different databases, they jumble it up so nobody can get the information inside or out. There is a law for providing confidentiality. All that matters is there. They must have created some system. I don't know. All I'm saying is, let us not presume the Supreme Court will not go into details. And if they find the SBI is wrong, they're going to pass scriptures in the SBI. The Supreme Court is not going to keep quiet. Let the Supreme Court decide. Why should we just speculate and put our wisdom where our wisdom is?
Sir, you must understand that, Mr. Pai, these are sensitive times. It's a sensitive issue. I still haven't got an answer as to why State Bank of India took 2 weeks to tell the court this. Sir, State Bank of India takes 2 weeks to tell the court that we are going to miss the deadline.
Radeep, Supreme Court decided in 10 days. What is the hurry? The elections are going to be in May. Supreme Court decided in 10 days. Once they hear, if they're satisfied, yes. If they're not satisfied, they will do something and soon it will be out. So why are we speculating?
Okay, why are we
speculating? Difficulty.
Okay,
I'm giving the benefit of doubt to SBI.
Give the benefit of doubt to SBI is what Mohandas Pai is saying. Vishwajit Bhattacharya, maybe some of the political parties on their own should reveal. Can they do that?
Why not? They got
yes, Vishwajit.
Rajdeep, I am saying that anybody, even a first-year law student, if he reads para 219B and para 219C, says it is a mandamus issued by the Constitution bench with direct disclosure of information. It is a direction. What receipt we have got? Who has paid money from his pocket? Who are these persons? Name them. And who has paid and who has received. That's all.
No, they're saying there are two. Sir, just a minute. State Bank of India is saying, Mr. Bhattacharya, there are two different information silos that exist. Therefore, because there were 22,217 electoral bonds, this would mean that a total of 44,434 information sets have to be matched, correlated.
No, it need not be matched. It need not be matched. Only information. This matching
Let
thing.
the Supreme Court say that, Rajdeep.
No, Supreme Court does not say match it.
Okay.
I have read the order. I have read the order with the greatest of respect. I may be wrong, but I'm reasonably sure that I'm not wrong because I wrote a piece on that very day. After reading the entire judgment, I have been a banker. In fact, I have worked in 3 banks. nationalized bank, multinational bank. I have taught in the Reserve Bank of India Staff College. So therefore, what I'm saying is this is a simple issue.
So
A
you are
very simple
convinced
issue.
it's a deliberate
And
delay.
State Bank of India
So
is
you are
coming.
convinced it's a deliberate delay. Subhash Chandra Garg,
This
therefore,
is very,
when
very extraordinary when State Bank of India is giving something which the Supreme Court has not asked for it. So there
Okay.
is no complication involved.
can I
Rajdeep.
And then the next stage, then the next stage, what the election commission will do, that also now remains to be seen.
can I
This
get
can be done
the
in
former
one day.
finance secretary?
As a former banker, I can say this information can be provided in one day.
Okay, you say it's in one day. So does Subhash Chandra Garg say in one day. Subhash Chandra Garg, at the end, people will say that, look, have faith in our system. The Supreme Court likely to hear it on Monday. If the State Bank
Yes.
of India has deliberately delayed it, then the Supreme Court will pull them up
Yes.
and they will face
Yes.
the embarrassment in the court.
Yes.
That's the central
Yes.
point Mohandas Pai is making.
That's
Don't have
all.
a
Give them the
conspiracy
benefit
theory.
of doubt.
Just a minute. Let him
Don't
respond.
be speculative. That's all.
Let
See,
Subhash Chandra Garg.
See, Rajdeep, in my judgment, and I've said this, the Supreme Court order is not very correct. The company should not be exposed to provide information of the donations made, which was given to them under a statute by making the amendments. Somebody can question this order. The government should have the moral courage to question this order and ask for the protection of the information which is given. But that's a very different matter. As of now, what the Supreme Court has said is the law of the land, and that direction has to be observed. And in complying with that direction is not what requires time. So we are actually barking, a wrong horse is barking at the court. The SBI is actually exposing, it's in contempt today from today onwards. What will happen, we don't know in the Supreme Court, but it is in contempt. It should not have asked for not providing this information.
That's a huge point you're making. You're saying the State Bank of India, in your view, is in contempt.